Okay. I know this is probably, I don't know how good this one's gonna be. It's another new one I found. I had like $25 to spend, so I was looking for some new books to buy. And this is one of them that actually popped up. The World's Strongest Witch, Volume 1. I'm starting my free life in a world where only I can see the online strategy guide. I don't know if this is an isekai, or I'm assuming it's not an isekai, but it's different. It's like, it makes me, when I hear online strategy guide, it makes me think that this is a video game based thing or something. I have no idea. Maybe I'll get some answers. Chapter 1, I tried using the internet. I can't believe I've been kicked out with nothing more than the clothes on my back. To get right to the point, Lorna Hermit was standing alone in the middle of a forest. She had no weapons, no armor, no money. It was not a good state of affairs to find oneself in, especially not in a monster-infested forest. What had happened was simple. Lorna's family had left her to die. What is the meaning of this, Lorna? You've manifested an incredibly weak skill at the lowest possible rank. How could you bring shame to your family like this? Your brothers all have B rank or higher skills. Why can't you be more like them? She didn't have a choice! She doesn't get to choose the skill she's born with! Duh! Why are you getting mad at her? It wasn't her choice. Her mind was filled with memories of the skill appraisal ceremony from the day before. She recalled the insults hurled at her by her family, the jeers of the other attendees. Lorna had been born into the illustrious house of Gugelheit, a line of warriors. Her father was a Margrave, and yet she had manifested an SSS ranked skill. Not only was it ranked S, a letter far lower than what was often thought to be the lowest letter possible, G, it had 3 of them. You would think that normally with SSS, you would think that's an incredibly powerful skill, but I guess A rank is supposed to be the best? I guess? I don't know. It clearly meant it was even worse. This was an unpardonable sin for a member of the Gogelheit family. The people of this world were judged according to what rank their skill was, and that rank was said to correspond directly to how much they were favored by the gods. Can't you raise the rank of your skill? I guess not. Or level up your skill or something? Get out of here. You are hereby banished from our family. You are not to use our family name ever again. So it was for that reason Lorna was thrown into the woods like a common criminal. I can't believe I'm going to die all alone out here. Lorna assumed the only reason they hadn't killed her on the spot was to avoid getting their hands dirty and sullying the lineage with a criminal record. Yes, her situation was dire, but Lorna was grateful to have made it out alive at least. She said as she opened her status screen. Lorna Hermit. Okay, so I guess she doesn't have her last name anymore. They took that into account. Level 1, HP 10 out of 10, MP 12 out of 12, Attack 3, Defense 4, plus 5. And I guess Magic Attack 9, Mind 9, Special Defense, I guess, 4 plus 2, Luck 8. Equipment, Weapon, none. Armor, Cloth Dress, G. Armor, Leather Shoes, G. I'm guessing the rank. Skills, Internet, SSS, Magic 1, G. Damn it. Titles, The Abandoned One. Lorna Hermit, level 1. At some point, her family name had been changed to her mother's maiden name, Hermit. The fact that she had been cast out of the Gugelheit family was really starting to hit home. Worse, she was only at level 1 and had no useful equipment or skills. At this rate, she could forget about ever leaving the woods. She would probably get murdered by the first weak monster she ran into. If only I could figure out what this internet skill does. Not that she had much faith in an SSS rank skill, the weakest of the weak. Well, first things first, I have to try to get to the nearest town alive. Just as Lorna steeled her resolve and began to cautiously make her way through the forest, wing, a small shadow descended on her from the trees above. What the? Wait, it's just a slime. It had scared her half to death. She figured it had jumped down from the tree in an attempt to land on her face and suffocate her. She'd heard that the Ipple slimes in the Ipple woods hunted that way. Well, as long as it's just a slime, I'm sure even I can handle it. Right? Lorna had been studying and practicing magic her whole life, and while it might have only been a G-rank skill, she had learned Magic Lit 1, which allowed her to use beginner spells, and so... Starter spell, Petite Ice, she timidly incanted. A magic circle formed in front of her palms. Tiny shards of ice emerged from the circle and gingerly collided with the slime. No effect! The slime was entirely unfazed by her attack and jiggled as it continued to charge toward her. This thing's strong! It wasn't, of course. Lorna was just weak. At level 1 and without so much as a staff, defeating the slime with spells was going to be a tall order. Looks like I've got no choice, I'm going to have to use it. Lorna made up her mind. She thrust out her palms in front of her and cried out, I summon you, Internet! This is the name of the SSS rank skill she had manifested only one day prior. The time had finally come to activate it, and I'm guessing it's not going to do anything. Never mind. Particles of light gathered in front of Lorna's palms until they formed a translucent board, and then, "Go, internet," she called out. She pointed at the slime and directed her internet skill to attack it, but nothing happened. It wasn't an attack spell. Or attack skill. Huh? A moment of uncomfortable silence passed. The internet merely floated, unresponsive, glowing with the white ambient light. Luna awkwardly cleared her throat. Then, after regaining her composure, internet kick! She booted the slime into the air. The creature, which had likely been distracted by the glow of the internet, was unable to avoid the attack. She kicked it. It smacked into a nearby tree with a splat and died. So you killed it with one kick. Okay, I guess it was weak. The slime vanished in a puff of smoke, leaving behind a small gem, crystallized mana. Defeated Ipple Slime. You gained 4 experience. Level up. Level 1 to level 2. Lorna stared at the text that appeared before her eyes. Huh? So this is the power of internet. Nope. As soon as the words had left her mouth, she felt hollow inside. Why? Why did I have to manifest such a weird, pointless skill? Not that any of this came as a surprise. What could she expect from a skill even weaker than G rank? Lorna had hoped that if she summoned it right in front of a monster, something would happen. Well, something did happen. It appeared, but it didn't really do anything. It seemed she'd been wrong. It's definitely not a combat skill. Well, I think that's kind of a given, but then again, she doesn't know what internet is. Lorna wasn't particularly hungry for the thrill of battle, but it would have been nice to have some kind of skill to use for self-protection. Then again, a combat skill with a rank as low as SSS probably wouldn't do much to prevent her grisly demise in these woods. An Ipple Slime Gem. I think one of these is worth 10 shill, right? She proceeded to claim her spoils, though the most 10 shill would get her was a helping of bread crusts. Even the cheapest of accommodations cost 1,000 shill. Damn! So what, is like a penny or something? At this rate, it looked like she would be sleeping outside. Ugh, what a cruel world. Tears welled up in Lorna's eyes as she put the monster's gem in her bag. I wish I could at least figure out how to use this internet thing, she said, poking at the glowing screen. Huh? Suddenly, click! Something on the screen changed. When her finger touched the long, thin rectangle in the middle of the screen, a panel with letters appeared. It almost looked like a puzzle. She had never seen any of the letters before, but somehow she understood them. So, does it want me to use these letters to make words? Oh, so essentially she clicked the search bar. And now she has to type in what to use. Let's see. Maybe I need to put in a password or something? Unfortunately, nothing came to mind. Well, I won't get anywhere without trying. She decided to begin by typing the word internet. I-N-T-E... I wonder which one of these is supposed to be the R. Oh, here it is. Oops. I didn't mean to hit that one. How am I supposed to erase letters in this thing? I guess I'm going to have to erase it all, start over. Hold on. I can't remember what I did to break up the panel with all those letters anymore. What was it again? This continued for about 10 minutes until finally, whew, there we go. The letter she had typed floating proudly in the middle of the screen. Internet. Satisfied, she tapped the enter button. Whoa, the screen changed. Looks like I guessed right. On her very first try. Impressive. Boy, I'm doing great today. She could feel the excitement well up inside her, but now a whole bunch of other letters have shown up. It looks like a list of book titles or something. There are so many. All the titles seem to have something to do with the internet. Lorna guessed that it was showing her a list of books related to the word she had just entered. Let's see. What about this one? Wikipedia, it says. The internet is a system of computers that use the internet protocol suite to communicate between networks and something. Okay, I have no idea what any of this means, but I can see the word encyclopedia here. So I guess internet is like a library skill? It was a tool for gathering information. Suddenly it made sense why nothing had happened when Lorna activated it. I was really hoping for a combat skill. I could use it to protect myself, but I guess if I'm going on an adventure, I need as much info as I can get. They can get over this skill of hers didn't seem so bad after all. Alright, the first thing I want is a map of the Ipple Woods. If she couldn't find her way out of the woods, Lorna was practically guaranteed to meet a gruesome end. But maps were valuable items. She didn't expect it would be so easy to look up. Oh well, no harm in trying, I guess. I-P-P-L-E. Wait, how do I put a space between the words? Oh, it must be this bar down here. W-O-O-D-S. There. She entered the letters into the internet just as she had a moment ago. Once again, a list of titles appeared on the screen. The one at the very top of the list caught her eye. Ipple Woods Map Italia Wiki Guides. Wiki Guide? What's that? She wasn't sure what the words meant, but perhaps she would find a simple map of the area. She touched the title and click, the screen changed. It worked! It's a map! There was no doubt about it. The page before her showed a map of the Ipple Woods. It was so intricate that she could hardly believe it was a map of a forest. There's no way. What in the world? I'd never seen a map with so much detail before. It showed areas of the forest without paths and even came up with illustrations so elaborate they looked like pictures of the real thing. It was way more detailed than the map of the domain she'd seen back in her childhood home. So is this... This is either a game world or it's the internet, but for her world. You know, the internet that we have, but it would contain all the information from her world. That's the only thing I could think of. Hold on. Something like this could be really bad news. The Google Height domain was on the border of a neighboring country. A map this detail was equivalent to a state secret. A regular person like Lorna probably wasn't even supposed to see it. But this is a matter of life and death, so... Okay, I'm doing it. I'm gonna look. Lorna peered at the map while cautiously keeping an eye on her surroundings. I should be right around here, but... What's this marker? She noticed some words written at the bottom of the map. Map Ipple Woods, item 4, 500 shill. It seemed to indicate that there were 500 shill nearby. What? Whoa. Come on. There's no way the map knows something like that, right? But suspicions aside, Lorna had 0 shill to her name. If there was money to be had, she wanted it. Yeah, this has got to be either a game world or just the internet, but tailored to this world's lore and everything. Like if we were in, let's say, let's use a Sun Tzu bookworm as an example. Like, let's say we had internet in that world, but it would all be internet-based information on, like, the different duchies and everything, low areas, you know, stuff like that. This is kind of the same thing. Well, I guess it might be worth checking out. Besides, I need to find out how accurate the map is, Lorna thought, trying to justify her actions. She wandered to some nearby bushes and pushed them aside. She found something glittering among the foliage, a small coin. The map was right. There's exactly 500 shill here. For someone as dead broke as Lorna, even a measly 500 shill was cause for celebration, and yet... How did it know something like that? What the heck is this internet thing? The internet seemed to know not only that someone had dropped money in the middle of the woods, but also the exact amount they had dropped. Was that even possible? This is seriously creepy. Perhaps Lorna had underestimated the power of the internet's knowledge. More terrifying still was that the information it contained didn't seem limited to merely the Ipple Woods. Map? List? Lorna timidly touched the words. What is... The screen shifted to display a page containing what appeared to be maps of every single location in the entire world. This included even the deepest parts of as-yet unexplored dungeons. There were even maps of hidden passageways inside the royal palace. That was when Lorna noticed the following page titles. List of important people, complete list of equipment, and complete list of skills. Her own skill began to terrify her. This internet thing is unbelievable. That was underselling it. Something had finally dawned on Lorna. There's no way this skill could be worse than a G-rank skill. The B-rank skills, like magic sword that her brothers were always boasting about, and even the A-rank skills she had heard about in rumors, all paled in comparison to internet. This skill, it must allow me to tap into the wisdom of the gods. You could say that a little bit. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. SSS rank has got to be the best rank skill, or ranked. The best rank is what I'm saying. What was written on this screen was the very truth of the world. It was like a divine bookcase that contained all knowledge. That's what this is. That's the power of the internet. Lorna swallowed the lump in her throat. If I can learn to use my internet skill fully, then there was no telling how much knowledge and power she could access. Just thinking about it made her tremble. But then... Lorna, you should live your life freely the way you want to. Her mother's dying words suddenly came back to her. When Lorna was a child, her mother would often regale her with tales of the outside world. She loved her mother's stories and always wished that one day she too would be able to see the world for herself. But she was the daughter of a noble, and she had obligations. She would never be allowed to venture out on her own. Her father had forbidden her from ever leaving their estate, and she had grown up believing that just as her mother before her, she would spend her entire life within the confines of the family home. But now, with the power of the internet at her disposal, maybe, just maybe, she could live a life like the heroes in her beloved stories. A life of freedom. A life where she could travel to all sorts of places, eat all sorts of yummy food, meet all sorts of interesting people. As those visions of her new life grew grander and grander still, Lorna's heart began to pound in her chest. I wonder how old she is in this. Like, how old do you have to be when you do the skill assessment thing? I think that maybe it's for the best that I was kicked out before I learned about the power of the internet. If Lorna had understood the limitless power at her disposal before being cast out, the Googlehite family would surely have locked her away and used her as a tool. In the worst-case scenario, everyone in the world might have come after her for her power. She could have been kidnapped or assassinated. It could have caused wars. The skill of hers was simply that amazing. Well, anyway, I should look up more stuff. More and more and more. Knowledge was power. There was still so much she needed to know. Brimming with energy and impatience, Lorna touched the screen once again and, what's this weird thing that just popped up? An ad? What's an ad? Oh, geez. How do I go back to the last page? Let me see. Maybe I have to tap this X? Come on. Why is the X so small? What? Wait. For some reason, the so-called ads began to multiply. Oh, no. Is it the internet before dial-up and all the pop-up ads? Oh, no. Lorna stood in complete shock. Something new was written on the screen right in front of her face. Critical system failure! Oh no, you crashed your skill! How is that even possible? Warning, tap the update button to install the latest repair software. Your files will be deleted in 230 seconds. The internet, it's broken! Oh no! I tried getting my hands on a legendary staff. Phew, looks like internet's fixed now. Some time passed since the internet broke down. Lorna wasn't sure why, but turning the screen off and then on again seemed to fix whatever the problem was. Once again, she was able to use the internet without any issues. You probably accidentally clicked on one of the ads and it was malware. That was probably what it was. Whoopsie. Then again, she has no idea what malware is, so she probably thought she broke it. I can't believe how easy it is to break the internet. I wish she'd be careful when using it. Lorna sighed in relief and began carefully tapping the screen once more. After getting it back up and running, she'd experimented a bit and grown a little more accustomed to how it worked. She now knew how to open multiple windows and turn on incognito mode so that no one else could see what she was doing. Nice! So even if you opened up your skill out in public, no one would be able to see what you're doing. Let's see. According to the internet, there should be a fork in the road. There it is! Lorna called out as a split in the path came into view. It was exactly as the internet had foretold. She felt reassured. I knew it. All the information on the internet really is true. Merely calling it information was doing it a disservice. Most of the details the internet revealed to her were on par with state secrets. It was knowledge only the gods themselves could possess. I still can't believe it knows things like monster spawn points and trap locations. Its divine knowledge was helping guide her safely through the woods. What had at first seemed akin to wandering aimlessly through a hellscape full of demons now felt like a leisurely stroll through the park. But as was human nature, the moment Lorna felt safe, her thoughts turned to other desires. I wonder if I can find any more loose change on the ground around here. 500 show isn't going to be enough for an inn, so... Huh? As she stared at the Ipplewood's map, two words suddenly caught her eye. Secret path. Secret paths? The kinds only one found in dungeons? One often led to untold treasure that had been hidden away from the world? Maybe if I go all the way down the secret path, I'll find a bunch of loose change. Loose change. Oh, God. Trying her best to contain her excitement, Lorna studied the route on the map. And there at its end, map Ipplewood, secret clearing item staff of World Tree SSS, was something far more amazing than she had been expecting. What? World Tree? So this staff is made from the World Tree or something? Why is something like that just lying around in my neck of the woods? Literally. It was so amazing, in fact, that Lorna was having trouble wrapping her mind around it. And what's more, the staff was also SSS rank. Hold on a minute. There's no way a staff with a crazy name like that is worse than a G rank staff. SSS rank might be at least one rank above A, right? Yes! Yes, I'm assuming it's like B, A, then S, then double S, then triple S, I'm assuming. Or maybe just A and then SSS rank. And if there was something Lorna didn't know, what better time to search the internet? She perused the wiki guide for a bit and quickly found her answer. Terminology ranks. G, F, E, D, C, B, A, S, double S, triple S. That's what I thought. The power of equipment and skills is determined by their rank in the above order. Incidentally, equipment and skills of rank S or higher were added during later updates. This is the game world! What else would update mean? As a result, are only found as rewards for higher difficulty content. When starting the game, A rank skills are the highest possible rank attainable through the skill gacha. So it was 3 ranks higher than A this whole time. Who could have imagined? More importantly, why does S come after A? And why is the next rank after that SS? It's so confusing for no reason. Why not just make it AAA? Or use stars or something? I don't know. Lorna wondered what the system's designer must have been thinking. In fact, the resulting confusion had made her father believe she brought shame on her family and was the whole reason she'd been chased out of her home. She was a victim of this overcomplicated nonsense. Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, I should check out the secret path. Oh, you should have looked up skills while you were at it. You might have been able to find something even better to use with your internet skill. Or you might have found the internet skill. Everything she had seen on the map so far had turned out to be true, so it seemed practically guaranteed that it was correct about what awaited her at the end of the secret path. And that meant, as impossible as it was to believe, a staff of the highest rank was there in these woods. But if it's written on the internet, then it must be true, right? Normally, no. In our world, you can't always believe what you find on the internet. But in this world, yes. The words on the internet were from the gods themselves. There was no way any of it could possibly be a lie. So Lorna followed hard and headed toward the secret path mentioned on the map. Let's see. Secret path. It should be here, but the map said the entrance to the path was somewhere around the roots of a giant tree. Lorna approached the tree and ran her hand along it. When she did, her surroundings warped like ripples on the surface of water. Whoa! In the blink of an eye, the master tree disappeared. In its place, a tunnel of greenery appeared. This had to be the secret path mentioned on the map. It's really here. I can't believe the internet knew about this, too. She repeated the same phrase dozens of times already, but she couldn't help it. Pardon me, I'm coming in, she called, stepping into the hidden path with some trepidation. She nervously walked through the tunnel, and on the other side, what is this place? She found a small forest clearing. Flowers were blooming here and there. Butterflies fluttered about. A small sapling stood soaking up the sun rays. That was about it. But the spot did have a sacred feeling. Every time Lorna took a breath, it felt like something was sucking the impurities out of her body. So where exactly is the staff supposed to be? Unlike the loose change she found earlier, no spot in particular jumped out at her. She took a look at the internet again and realized she'd missed a section that detailed how to obtain the staff. Weapon, Staff of World Tree. Defeat the Guardian found at the Astral Observatory of the 12 Stars and complete the star map. Disc to obtain the keywords, Halt, O Time, World Be Thou Beautiful. Use the keywords in the secret path found in the Apple Woods to trigger the event and get the staff. No combat encounter. Huh? One thing was clear, Lorna had no idea what any of that meant. Basically, I just have to say these words, right? There's no harm in trying. Halt, O Time, World Be Thou Beautiful. Lorna spoke the words somewhat half-heartedly, but the change that followed was sudden and dramatic. Whoa! A blinding light flooded the forest clearing. The light slowly began to gather in front of Lorna until it formed the shape of a woman. She almost looked like a spirit out of a fairy tale. In fact, that's exactly what she looked like. She had hair like a verdant summer breeze and was wrapped in a white robe wreathed in flowers. Her body was so pale it was translucent. Her countenance gave off a sense of divine majesty. It is a pleasure to meet you, O child of man. I am the spirit of the world tree. You may call me Yggdrasil. You have done well in overcoming the trial of the 12 stars. The spirit spoke with a gentle tone. Lorna had never heard a voice so beautiful. It was as clear as spring water. But something more pressing was taking up Lorna's attention. Trial? What trial? There must have been some kind of trial that you would have had to have done to get to that secret path in the first place. Lorna didn't remember explaining any trial. Oh dear, I think I might have skipped over a few things. Yes, you did. Lorna began to sweat nervously. There's no need for you to explain. Only those pure of heart who have overcome the trial can speak the hallowed words. Oh no, she is way, way off about me. Lorna tried to think of a way to explain, but before she could, the woman spoke again. You must have had many adventures on your journey to this hallowed place. Actually, my adventure only started about an hour ago. You must have met many people along the way and experienced many a bittersweet parting. Actually, you're the first person I met so far. It is for these reasons that I am confident I can entrust this child to you. The moment the woman stopped speaking, the saplings in front of Lorna rustled and formed into the shape of a single staff. Its tip was adorned with an emerald green gem. One glance was enough to tell that this thing was incredibly powerful. This staff, along with this world, I entrust it to you. The whole world? Without thinking, Lorna reached up and grabbed a hold of the staff. Oh dear, now you've got a gigantic responsibility on your hands. The spirit smiled gently. She seemed relieved. Finally, now I can return to his side. Huh? Well, hold on, where? But it was too late for Lorna to stop her. In an instant, the lady spirit turned into particles of light and disappeared. Suddenly, a line of text appeared before her. Obtained title, Yggdrasil's Chosen. Oh boy. She kind of screwed the pooch here. She just did, essentially, she went and completed a quest, essentially, that normally I'm guessing is a late game thing. Or maybe the end game. Or something like that, you know. With no understanding of what had just happened, Lorna was left standing in the clearing alone once again. Her hands were still shaking as she grasped the imposing staff. Should I maybe not have accepted this? Or she hadn't overcome the trial. She hadn't been on an adventure, met any people, or experienced any bittersweet partings. Not to mention being entrusted with the world sounded like way too much responsibility. What's the return policy on this thing? Her question rang out through the empty clearing, but no response came. Lorna got on her hands and knees and gracefully bowed her head to the ground. I'm so sorry. I thought I could just grab the staff and be on my merry way. I didn't think it would be such a big deal. Say the key words out loud. Ding, ding, ding. You win the prize. Here's a staff. Woohoo! That's the kind of thing Lorna had expected, but the actual transaction had seemed like a pretty serious affair. What did she even mean when she said she was entrusting the world to me? Am I supposed to do something? I feel like I've been handed a bomb, and now it's my responsibility to take care of it. Lorna spent a little more time apologizing to the void, then she sighed and said, oh well, and got back up, resuming her usual happy-go-lucky attitude. I got the staff I wanted, and this thing's definitely strong. Can't get rid of it now. Her voice was shaky as she spoke, but she ignored it. Alright, let's see. I should probably take a look at what this thing can do. She vaguely recalled that the A-rank Kingdom Sword had an attack plus 500 modifier, so an SSS-ranked staff would probably boost her M attack by at least 800. Nah, no way. 800 is a bit much. The maximum value for a stat is 999. Lorna was skeptical, but she couldn't help feeling excited as she took a look at her stats. Lorna Hermit level 2, HP 14 out of 14, MP 99,999 out of 18. Oh god. I wonder if that will replenish, or is that just going to go down until it gets down to 18? I'm assuming it'll replenish. Attack 4 plus 360. Defense 11 plus 5. Okay, that didn't do anything to her defense. Magic attack 13 plus 3,600. Magic, mind, 13. Special defense, I guess, 8 plus 2. Luck, 10. Equipment, weapon, Staff of World Tree, SSS. Armor, cloth dress, G. Armor, leather shoes, G. Skills, Internet, SSS. Terra Drain, SSS. Magic 1, G. Titles, The Abandoned One, Yggdrasil's Chosen. Was she seeing that right? She stood in silence, rubbing her eyes before taking another look at her stats screen. MP! 99,999 out of 18. I think the stat screen is broken. The plus 3,600 modifier to her magic attack was equally incomprehensible, of course. Her stats were off the charts to an absurd degree. Well then, it looks like the cap for stats wasn't 999 after all. The hand she was using to hold the staff began to shake uncontrollably. Even court sorcerers only had about 500 MP. Sitting at almost 100,000 MP, Lorna now had 200 times that. None of it made any sense to her. One thing was for sure, though, there was no other human alive with this much MP in a magic attack. Does this mean I've become the strongest in the world? Sort of, but you're still very weak, essentially, in terms of HP, so all they have to do is get one hit on you and boom, bye-bye. The staff she collected on a whim turned out to be 100 times more impressive than she could have ever imagined. It was more like a weapon of mass destruction than a staff. It seemed liable to start a war at any moment. It might be a little bit late to ask this question, but just what the heck is this thing? Lorna realized she hadn't yet looked up any information about the staff, so she opened up the internet and typed in Staff of World Tree. Weapon, Staff of World Tree. Rank, SSS. Type, Staff. Price, dang it, it's million, billion, trillion, quintillion? If it was 360 million, billion, 360 trillion yen, I think. If I'm getting if I'm wrong, let me know. Effect. Attack plus 360, magic attack plus 3,600. MP stock, 99,999. Okay, so it has you have to use, when you use it, it comes from the staff, not you. 3 times MP usage, 2 times magic range and damage. Equip skill, Terra Drain, SSS. Effect. Absorb MP from nearby foes. Terrain bonus. 2x damage in forests and meadows. Details. The in-world lore stats. In-world lore states, Elven legend foretells that when calamity befalls the land, a chosen one will take up the staff and become the savior. But since the staff was added as post-game content in a later update, by the time it can be obtained, the catastrophe has already been averted. Okay, so she essentially has become the new chosen one to save the world. Because I'm assuming the calamity that it's mentioning has not happened yet in the game. The staff is the most broken weapon available, and equipping it with any character trivializes the game's balance. It's the kind of overpowered weapon you might expect to see in a light novel. Huh? Lorna closed the internet screen. I'm just going to pretend I didn't see any of that. She worried she'd fall to pieces if she thought about it too deeply. Lorna wasn't interested in becoming a savior or the most powerful person in the world. All she wanted was to live a life of freedom. Anyway, the sun's probably going to set soon. I guess I should just sleep outside today, she said, voicing her thoughts in an attempt to clear her mind. There was no way she would escape the woods by nightfall, and the clearing she found looked like a safe place to spend the night. According to the internet, monsters wouldn't attack her here, so with that in mind, she began preparing to make a fire. She gathered up kindling and some dried leaves into a little pile. Then she pointed the staff of World Tree at it. She had tons of MP, so she didn't need to worry about conserving any of it. It was an all-you-can magic jamboree as far as Lorna was concerned. Starter spell. Petite flame, she shouted cheerfully, hoping to create an ember to get her campfire going, but the next instant, fire! A gigantic fire! A massive dragon of flames erupted from Lorna's staff. Lorna stood in complete shock as an all-consuming inferno swirled before her. The trees, the ground, the monsters, whatever the fire touched was incinerated in an instant and turned to ash. Oopsie! That was bad! Girl, you should have just left the staff set the staff down and then used your MP. That's what you should have done. It was as though a massive dragon had devoured everything in the area. Ipple Slime Swarm defeated. You gained 28 EXP. Level up, level 2 to level 3. Toxie Bloom Swarm defeated. You gained 148 experience. Level up, level 3 to level 5. Green Goblin Swarm defeated. You gained 360 experience. Level up, level 5 to level 8. Goblin King defeated. You gained 2,180 EXP. Level up, level 8 to level 14. Skill up, magic 1 to magic 3. You learned the Petite Flash, Petite Bolt, and Petite Gale starter spells. You learned the Giant Killer one skill. Oh dear. Obtain title Calamity Witch. Oopsie! As the blaze settled and the smoke cleared, the only thing left in the clearing was the scorched earth beneath Laura's feet. Lorna stood in complete disbelief. After a few moments had passed, she murmured to herself, okay, that was a bit much. A bit much is, putting it mildly. Massive earthquakes rocked the land that day. The epicenter of the tremendous quakes was the Gogelheit Margravit, which contained the Ipple Woods. Rouser, one of Margrave Brog Gogelheit's sons, ran to his father's side. Father! What is it? What's all the commotion? Brawl furrowed his brow in irritation as he reclined in the lavish chair. What happened with Lorna? You made sure to get rid of her, I trust. Who cares about that useless child, responded Rouser. It's the Mana Vein, the great Mana Vein in the forbidden clearing of the Ipple Woods. It's gone. In the forbidden clearing of the Ipple Woods. So the secret woods that she was just in is the Mana Vein in the forbidden clearing. What? Brawl dropped his wine glass in shock and fell to the ground, shattering into countless pieces. Wine splashed across the expensive carpet at his feet, but he hardly noticed. His attention was now fully devoted to the matter at hand. You can't be serious. I'm afraid I am. The mana siphons around the vein have all ceased operation. Oh, shit! Hold on. Was the spirit and the staff powering the mana veins, or was it because of what she just did with the fire? I'm willing to bet that it was because she took the staff and the spirit left. I'm willing to bet. That cannot be. The great mana vein of the Ipple Woods was said to be the largest source of mana in the world. Mana siphoned from such veins allowed the people of the world to use magic. Humans needed mana to live. Without mana, the crops would wither and the people would be unable to use the magic tools necessary to purify water and keep their fires lit. The Googlehite family had sole ownership of the Ipplewood's vein and had profited greatly from it. If what Browser said was true, then their future wealth had vanished along with the vein, so I think he kind of got what he deserved. But I think other people are going to be having to deal with that too. Well, we've taken out countless loans expecting to pay them back with profits from the vein, thought Margrave Googlehite. Not to mention the scheme we've been working toward. We needed mana for that as well, but that's not even the worst of it. Brow put his face in his head in his hand. If this news makes it to the king, then... The Googlehite family had been granted a right to the vein in return for keeping it safe. Now that it had disappeared, they would be held responsible. Worse, if the palace launched an investigation, they would surely discover that the Margrave had been embezzling mana. Oh, now you're really going to get it now. Perhaps we can cover this up somehow. No, that would be impossible. There was no way to disguise the fact that the mana vein was gone. It was only a matter of time before people all over the world knew of its disappearance. And the name of the incompetent family that allowed it to happen. There were no two ways about it. Their family would be ruined. Dark visions of the future plagued the Margrave's thoughts. Why? This shouldn't be possible. Why would the mana vein we've been guarding for millennia suddenly disappear? Because you put your daughter out in the forest, and because she had the internet skill, she was able to go and find that mana vein and pluck it from the world. I'm assuming. We're currently investigating the matter, but it seems highly likely this catastrophe was caused by human hands. What do you mean? Moments after the mana vein was extinguished, we detected powerful magic being used in the vicinity of the Ipple Woods. Based on the amount of mana expanded, it seemed the spell used over 10,000 MP! That's a ninth of what she has in that staff. Preposterous. The maximum amount of MP a human could expend was 999. If Rouser was correct, and a being who could use such a spell had appeared, they could hardly be considered human. It would be a magic-wielding living calamity. Such a being hadn't existed since ancient times when the Demon Lord had walked the land. At this rate, those earthquakes are certain to ravage the earth. This problem was bigger than the Googlehite domain. The whole world was in danger. What in blazes has descended upon our lands? What's to become of the world now? Margrave Brow's voice shook and his body trembled in awe of this unknown foe. Meanwhile, completely unaware of the calamity that had befallen her former family's domain and of the tremors that were at the very moment rocking the land, Lorna was desperately trying to put out the fire. She started by shooting ice at them. Petite ice, petite ice, petite ice! A wave of ice swallowed up the forest until Lorna stood on what looked like a mountainous glacier. Oh no! This is what I said! Put the staff down, then try to do it! No, now you've got a glacier in the forest! Oh no, no. What do I do? This was a disaster. Her staff was too powerful. There was no way for Lorna to control its magic. Even her weak starter spells were enough to cause natural disasters. Sword Plant Swarm defeated. You gained 165 experience. Evil Treant Swarm defeated. You gained 420 experience. Level up. Level 14 to level 15. Paraflower Swarm defeated. You gained 220 experience. Forest Wolf Swarm defeated. You gained 318 experience. Level up, level 15 to level 16. Great Bear defeated. You gained 950 experience. Level up, level 16 to level 17. Skill up, Magic 3 to Magic 4? No, Magic 5. Sorry, 5. You learned the Petite Heal, Petite Cleanse, and Petite Wall starter spells. You learned the art of Slaughter 1 skill. Shit! This is just like So I'm a Spider, So What, where she gets a lot of title skills that she doesn't want, that are bad, because she has no clue what she's doing. Why? With each spell, Lorna seemed to be slaughtering countless monsters. The level up sound effect chimed on ceaselessly. If someone sees me doing this, who knows what might happen? Lorna imagined it for a second. It wasn't good. Burn the witch! No! Visions of being burned at the stake filled Lorna's imagination. She turned deathly pale. Not that anyone could help to take her on now. She could easily drive off any foe, but the fact didn't occur to Lorna, who had, until mere moments ago, had been only level 1. I think she's level 17 now? Anyway, I gotta get out of here or else. Why is all this happening? Whined Lorna, tears welling up in her eyes. All I want is to live a life of freedom. How old is she at this point? Someone let me know, please, if you've read the books. She quickly looked at the map on the internet and set off in the direction of the nearest town. How are you going to hide the staff? Can you make it, like, disappear? And maybe put it in your bag or something? Chapter 3. I tried taking on the Lord of the Woods. Okay, not much further until the next town. The day after getting the Staff of World Tree and spending the night in the woods, Lorna began making her way to the next town, one eye on the map she'd found on the internet. The woods had no real path, and it was hard to know which way to go, but thanks to the map, Lorna knew there was a town nearby, and that wasn't all. The gathering point on the map should be around here Oh, found it! Lorna spotted an area to gather medicinal herbs right where the internet had said it would be. Item, phantom leaf. Type, material. Price, 50,000 shill. Effect, none. Details, a rare medicinal herb from the magic forest that grows in very small quantities. Can be used as a material in high-grade healing items such as elixirs and elven nostrum. Also used as an event item in the side quest, The Toxic Ambitions of Dr. Zarish. Yep, it's exactly like the internet said it would be, but wait, hold on a sec. This stuff sells for 50,000 shill? It says it's super rare, but it just looks like a worthless plant to me. Regardless, Lorna stuffed as many of the leaves into her bag as she could every time she passed a gathering point. Let's see. It says some goblins made a pitfall trap around here. Is that it? She could see that some leaves were piled up in a particular strange way along the path. If she had been walking by and hadn't known, she never would have noticed it. It looks like there are three level 4 brown goblins hiding in the grass nearby. Lorna pointed her staff at the grass and questioned, I wouldn't use your staff anymore. I'd put it up. Please? You're gonna make a natural disaster again. She guessed that the goblins were hoping to pounce on whoever fell into their trap, but that was nothing to Lorna. She could see through their ruse with the help of the internet. Okay, let's start with Terra Drain. This is a skill granted to her when she equipped her SSS rank staff, the Staff of World Tree. It allowed her to absorb the MP of all enemies within range. A massive magic circle shone on the ground underneath Lorna's feet. Yah! Came the perplexed cries of the goblins. At the same moment, light began flowing into the green tip at the end of Lorna's staff. According to the internet, once the monster's MP was reduced to 0, it would become incapable of performing any action for a set time. Lorna took advantage of the opening. Brown goblins are weak to wind, so petite gale, and you're going to cause a tornado. Lorna used the MP she just absorbed to cast one of the spells she'd learned the day before. A massive tornado! I assumed that was going to happen considering her track record right now, but I didn't expect it to actually happen. A massive tornado appeared that sucked up all the goblins and the nearby trees along with them. After a few moments, goblin gems and a host of other materials came falling from the sky. Brown goblin swarm defeated. You gained 108 experience. Level up, level 17 to level 18. This thing is way too strong, Lorna muttered as she broke out into a cold sweat. You need to put your staff up. If you have a way to put it in your bag or make it, like, disappear into your being or something so nobody will see it, I'd recommend doing that. Or I would look up how to put away staff on the internet. She was glad she was able to use magic so effectively, but I don't really need my spells to do this much damage. She had only cast starter spells so far, and based on the outcome, she might as well have been using ultimate magic. I probably shouldn't use any spells in town if they're all going to do this. Lorna looked back over her shoulder. She could see sharp rocks jutting up toward the sky alongside a mountainous glacier. Nearby, a scorched field still seethed with red-hot embers, and a tornado raged, tossing whole trees hither and thither. Oh my god, that's the first time I've seen that word before, thither. Thither, whatever. It looked like the world was ending right behind her. All she had done was test out a few of her spells, but her staff was way too powerful. It was like the weapon had a mind of its own and was determining the strength of her spells without her input. I had to think I got this staff just by following the instructions on the screen. The internet really is amazing. But that wasn't the only thing amazing about it. It even has info on how to learn new skills and the weak points of monsters. No one knows that kind of stuff. These two pieces of knowledge alone were revolutionary. Lorna popped open the internet and looked up the details of the skills she had learned the day before. Skill, Giant Killer. Effect, boosts damage done to higher level enemies based on the difference between your levels. Difference in level times 1%. How to learn. Solo an enemy 20 levels higher than the character. How to enhance. Solo an enemy 20 levels higher than the character. Skill, Art of Slaughter 1. Effect, increases damage dealt and critical rate when facing 5 or more enemies. How to learn. Overkill 20 or more enemies within 1 hour without being attacked. How to enhance. Overkill 30 or more enemies while all Art of Slaughter is active. This is like way beyond the level of a national secret. In this world, the skills one was born with, what the internet referred to as the skill gacha, were highly valued, but that was because no one knew what the conditions were for learning or enhancing skills. Common sense dictated that if you trained hard, you would one day be able to get a skill falling somewhere between G rank and E rank. If there was a known way to train that would allow someone to obtain a D or C rank skill, that knowledge would be considered a national secret or an esoteric mystery, handed down only to chosen successors. But the internet listed the conditions for learning and enhancing all skills, even those of B and A rank. How's a person supposed to figure out any of this stuff without looking it up on the internet anyway? That's the point of it. It was the same for monster weaknesses. Some were relatively straightforward and easy to figure out. The fact that plant-type monsters were weak to fire, for example, but something like brown goblins being weak to wind made no sense. Surely the only way to know would be to look it up, or to try to use wind magic on it, you know? And knowledge like that was far too valuable to be made publicly available. Boy, I'd really love to learn some more skills, Lorna thought as she walked through the forest. Using Terra Drain a few moments ago had really gotten her blood pumping. New skills were always cause for some excitement. Okay, I should be coming up on the exit soon. But first, I've got one last job to do. Lorna stopped and her expression grew stern. At the very moment, clop, clop, clop. With that sound, a massive boar appeared, knocking over trees as it trundled along it, blocked Lorna's path. The creature stared her down like an imposing growl and exhaling a plume of white breath before slamming its front hooves into the ground in an attempt to intimidate its foe. It's just like the internet said. The gargantuan boar was the boss of this area, the Lord of the Ipple Woods. Boss, Lord of the Woods, spawn location, Ipple Woods, level 50. Weaknesses, fire, ice, weak points in the nose and stomach. Resistance, wind, earth, poison, and slash. Rewards, opens main road out of Ipple Woods. Drops, Lord of the Woods, gem, 90%. Lord Pelt, 70%. Lord Tusk, 30%. Reckless Boots, 20%. Charge Fang Lance, 3%. Details, the area boss of Ipple Woods. Appears to block the exit when you try to leave the woods. Despite its very simple attack pattern, its high attack, defense, and speed make it practically impossible to defeat early on in the game. Yep, it's a game world. Lord of the Woods destroys trees and rocks when it charges, so hiding behind rocks or climbing trees is certain to get you hurt. This thing looks so much scarier up close, but Lorna already knew everything she needed to about the beast thanks to the internet. I just have to believe in the internet. As long as I believe everything will turn out fine. After all, everything on the internet is true. And it's charging at her. The frenzied Lord charged at her. Its sheer power had her completely overwhelmed. She might have looked everything up ahead of time, but that hadn't made the beast any less terrifying. Right, okay, weak to fire and ice. I don't want to set the whole forest on fire again, so petite ice. And the boss was hit with a powerful blast of ice magic from Lorna's SSS rank staff. Even a massive beast like the Lord of the Woods let out a horrified cry as it was swallowed by a wave of ice, but the boar crashed through the ice and was soon charging at Laura once more. Yikes! Maybe I shouldn't have expected this thing to go down with one hit from a starter spell. It is level 50 after all. Considering what you've done so far, I'm surprised that it didn't die the first hit. It seemed to have taken quite a bit of damage. However, at this rate, Lorna wouldn't be able to take it down before it reached her, but she'd expected as much. Then how about this? Petite wall. Lorna raised her staff and swung it in the air and, a tremendous wall of stone burst from the ground and rose up in front of her boar. Lorna had gained access to Petite Wall once her magic skill rose to level 5. Yet despite her efforts, the large boar smashed through the wall as though it were made of twigs. Petite Wall, Petite Wall, Petite Wall! Lorna retreated backwards, digging into her abundant MP pool to create wall after wall after wall. This enraged the boar, who smashed through each of them in turn, but Lorna could tell that the beast was starting to lose steam. That was part 1 of Lorna's plan, and she had more up her sleeve. You fell for it. The instant the massive creature smashed through the final wall, it slipped, and its monstrous body tumbled into a hole on the ground. Yes, just like I planned. It was the very pitfall trap the goblins had set up to trick passerbys. Oh, she used it to her advantage! Nice! Lorna had created wall after wall not only to keep the Lord of the Woods away from her, but also to lure it to this spot. The beast fell into the hole head first and got stuck. Its hooves waggled in the air helplessly. The sheer weight of the beast's massive body seemed to keep it from climbing out. It might have been able to avoid such a fate if it had been a little more careful, but the beast had been rampaging around blindly, and the walls had further prevented it from tagging in its surroundings. It would have been a difficult fate to avoid. This is all thanks to the internet. Lorna popped open the screen and looked at it over once again. Boss, Lord of the Woods, strategy. Its basic pattern of attack is to charge head-on, making pitfalls an effective strategy. The boss takes a long time to drag itself out of the hole, so surrounding it with pitfalls is a good way to keep it trapped. If you change the terrain inside the hole to puddle, the boss will take damage over time and you can defeat it easy. If you don't have the dig rabbit hole or groundbreaker skills, you can use the nearby goblin pitfall instead. It was likely put there to be used during this fight. Nice! Wow, all sorts of helpful stuff is written on the internet, huh? Why is it all so specific? Are the guys just really bored or something? No, these are strategy guides from, probably other players. It seems strange to Lorna, but she had bigger fish to fry at the moment. Or in this case, boars to freeze. Okie dokie, here goes. Lorna pointed her staff at the Lord of the Woods, now stuck in the hole. All that's left is to attack it again and again until it goes down. Petite ice. She hit the defenseless boar's weak points, its stomach, with a blast of ice. Okay, next is... Wait, huh? Just as Lorna prepared another spell, something happened. Poof. The boss's body vanished in a puff of smoke, leaving behind a gem and a variety of dropped items. Lord of the Woods defeated. You gained 7,500 experience. Level up, level 18 to level 22. Skill up, Giant Killer 1 to Giant Killer level 2. Obtain title, Lord Slayer. It's over? Lorna stood dumbfounded, her staff still at the ready. The Lord of the Woods was a monster that struck fear in the hearts of those living near the Ipple Woods. Even the Googlehite family, with their high-ranking skills, stood no chance against the fearsome beast. And let Lorna had defeated with ease. The battle was almost too anticlimactic. Does this mean I could have just hit it once one more time without doing any of that other stuff? The wide gap between their levels had made Lorna overly cautious, well, obviously so. And she felt she needed to rely on the trap. Now she thought about it, she had 3,600 magic attack. In other words, her magic attack was 7 times higher than the kingdom's strongest sorcerer. Not to mention the fact that the Staff of World Tree doubled the damage of her spells at the cost of using up 3 times more MP. On top of that, her Magic 5 skill increased the damage output of her spells by an additional 1.3 times. Furthermore, the 32 level difference between Lorna and the boar meant Giant Killer 1 added even more damage to the equation, 1.32 times more to be exact. And finally, she had attacked its weak point, which doubled the total damage. With all those factors combined, Lorna's attack dealt roughly 7 times more damage than normal. Right. Well, Lorna said with a vacant expression. I guess that means I'm pretty strong now, so that's neat. Lorna gave up trying to figure out her total damage halfway through. She figured it was fairly impressive the boar had even survived 1 attack from her. I guess I should check but the boss dropped, she said, snapping back to her senses. She picked up the beast's gem and its pelt. The pelt was too big to fit into her bag, however, so she cut off a smaller portion. She assumed that would be more than enough to sell for her travel expenses, but she found something else too. Huh? The boss dropped some finished footwear, she said, pulling out a pair of boots out of the pitfall. She assumed they were leather shoes made from the pelt of the Lord of the Woods. Why are these boots pre-made? This doesn't make sense. Who made them? Lorna was confused, but she decided to put those thoughts aside and look up the boots on the internet. Equipment feat. Reckless boots. Rank B type boots. Price 5 million shill. Effect defense plus 80. Special defense plus 300. Equip skill reckless rush B. Effect double speed, but stopping is impossible for the skill's duration. Details. Boots dropped by the Lord of the Woods. The equip skill for these boots comes in handy when traversing the world or escaping, and they remain useful even after their stats get outclassed by other boots. Activating the skill makes it very hard to control which direction you're going, so be careful not to speed off the side of a cliff and die. Wow, these are some strong boots. It was hard for Lorna to fathom just how fast special defense plus 300 what? Or speed! Speed! I'm a dum-dum! Speed! Until yesterday, I only had 6 speed. So, after getting her SS rank staff, Lorna was becoming desensitized to the ease with which she was earning high rank gear. Regardless, she was grateful to have a replacement for her old boots, which had become tattered from her long trip to the forest. Lorna wasted no time slipping into her new reckless boots. Alright, not a bad find. Nothing can beat the feeling of getting one's hands on some strong new equipment. Lorna hummed a happy tune as she checked the internet once more. Let's see. It says the equipped skill for the reckless boots is called Reckless Rush. Wow, double speed. Sure, there was a drawback. Stopping was impossible for the skill's duration, but that didn't seem so bad to Lorna, and besides, apparently it's an incredibly useful skill. If the internet says so, it must be true. When she thought of that, Lorna began itching to use it right away. Oh no, don't do that! Sure, trying the skill after she left the woods would be the safer bet, but why let that stop her? Hey, I mean, I just got this skill. I should test it out, shouldn't I? Lorna couldn't resist the allure of a brand new skill. Oh, this is not going to go well. And so, okay, here we go. Reckless Rush. Lorna nonchalantly called out the skill's name, and the very next moment, Lorna's body was sent hurtling forward. Or more accurately, her legs seemed to be moving of their own volition, forcing her to run forward at an unfathomable speed. What the fuck? Taka? What the fuck is Taka? I don't even know. A sound of Lorna's recklessly rushed footsteps echoed among the trees as she ran through the woods, kicking up a cloud of dust all the way. Fast! Too fast! Why? I told you not to do it! Oh, so she can't hear me, but still. Lorna had made another miscalculation when she read that the skill would make her run twice as fast. She had forgotten that between her recent level grinding and her new equipment, she had leapfrogged from 6 special to 6 speed to 346 speed in a matter of hours. The boost to her stats meant that even a regular run would have been more than fast enough, and now that pace had been doubled. I'm gonna run into a tree! Stop! Lorna screamed, tears welling up in her eyes. She had no idea how to disengage her new skill, and so she continued running through the forest at top speed until suddenly... I'm out! A dark thicket of trees gave way, and the scenery ahead opened up. Lorna somehow managed to screech to a halt, disengaging her skill with a mighty tumble. She looked up and was astonished. Wow! Grassy plains sprawled out as far as the eye could see. A refreshing breeze was blowing, and the light around the sun formed a gentle halo. A bit further in the distance, Lorna could make out a sprawling town. Okay, I think I'm going to have to end this one off here. I will see you guys in the next video.